One of the biggest surprises last year in Android land was the Huawei-made Google Nexus 6P. It was, and still is, one of the darling gems in the space. Prior to it, HTC had that reputation of being the best when it comes to phone designs that use metal. Well, now HTC is the underdog, but there's a lot of anticipation riding on its latest efforts. Hey guys, John Velasco here with Android Authority, and we're doing a quick look between the HTC 10 and the Google Nexus 6P. Like we said, the Nexus 6P is impressively good looking. It's original and it doesn't look like anything else. However, it's just a handful to operate. It's so good that some folks even have gone on to say that Huawei has supplanted HTC as being the king of metal phones. Now you think that they give up, but HTC responds back in a huge way. The HTC 10 is sure pleased with its one-of-a-kind metal design that's inspired by light and sculpted to perfection. It appears to be more meticulously designed, but it's also more compact and easier to handle. Since it's the larger of the two, the Nexus 6P has a bigger 5.7-inch Quad HD AMOLED screen. This of course makes the 5.2-inch Quad HD Super LCD 5 display of the HTC 10 quaint by comparison. Still, we can agree that the two displays produce plenty of sharp visuals and incredible detail. Being AMOLED and all, the Nexus 6P's display tends to appear oversaturated, unless you're in developer's mode and set its color calibration to the sRGB mode. In contrast, the HTC 10 screen also appears to be saturated, but not as much. Both have fingerprint sensors that use the same implementation, but they're positioned differently. It's rear mounted with the Nexus 6P, while it's beneath the display with the HTC 10. They both work fine though. Being a last generation device, the Nexus 6P leverages the Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 chip. The hardware is still quite capable by today's standards, even in the face of newer, more powerful equipped smartphones like the HTC 10. It's no surprise that it's still utilizing the latest and greatest from Qualcomm's camp, the Snapdragon 820 paired with the generous 4GB of RAM and the Adreno 530 GPU. Both run pretty smooth with basic operations, but it'll be intriguing to see how they stack up with graphics processing. Things get a little interesting as we look at their software, as Google's interpretation of the Android experience is showcased in full form by the Nexus 6P. It's clean, direct, and logical with its layout, but you know it's going to receive the latest updates of Android faster. HTC, on the other hand, does a few nice things to simplify the latest Sense UI experience. You might take fancy in its peculiar style, which of course offers users even more personalization with the addition of stickers. We also can't neglect to point out HTC's impeccable track record of getting its devices up to date. If there was a phone that totally wowed many by its performance, it has to be the Nexus 6P's 12.3 megapixel camera. It showed us that cameras don't need beefy megapixel counts. Most surprising though is that it manages to do even a handy job under low light. As for HTC's newest flagship, they're reimagining the ultra-pixel camera. It's a 12 megapixel camera with a wide f1.8 aperture lens and 1.55 micron sized pixels. Now all this making the team over at HTC a little bit excited, seeing that there's a strong emphasis with low light performance. If there's one area where the Nexus 6P is untouchable, it's none other than pricing. At $500 outright and unlocked, the Nexus 6P makes a statement like no other just because it undercuts the pricing of most flagships. You'll get the savings with the Nexus 6P, especially when you look at the $700 cost attached to the HTC 10. Yes, it's priced higher, but there are a lot of reasons why HTC's champion might be the superior one. Time will tell if that's true or not.